Welcome, dear listener. Have you ever felt the weight of the world pressing down on your chest? Like everything around you is falling apart, and you're left standing alone in the middle of the storm? If so, you're not alone. Pain is part of being human. It touches all of us at some point in our lives. But what if I told you that when life hurts the most, it also marks the very beginning of coming back to yourself? That through the cracks of your brokenness, a new light can shine. One that leads you to healing, hope, and rediscovery. In this podcast, we'll walk together through those dark moments, exploring how pain can become a powerful doorway, inviting us back home to who we truly are. So take a deep breath, and let's begin this journey, one step at a time. And this podcast episode's topic is When Life Hurts, the beginning of returning to yourself. There are moments in life when it feels like you're falling into a deep, dark abyss, where everything around you seems cold, empty, and hopeless. That feeling isn't just physical pain. It's a profound hurt within your soul, a wound that happens when you lose something precious, whether it's a loved one, a dream, or even your faith in yourself. Those are the times when life truly hurts. But strangely, it is often from these very wounds that we begin the journey back to ourselves. This journey is not an easy one, nor is it one that everyone dares to take. It requires courage and patience beyond measure. When life hurts, that's also when the process of returning to your true self begins. This isn't just a comforting cliche. It's a deep truth understood by anyone who has faced hardship and come through it stronger. So why can pain be the starting point for healing? Why do moments that feel like total collapse often become the moments when we rediscover who we really are? This is what I want to explore with you in this podcast: how pain, loss, and struggle can open the door to healing and hope. Everyone encounters hardships, losses, and emotional wounds in their lifetime. It's an unavoidable part of the human experience. But what truly defines us is how we respond to these moments. Will we be crushed under their weight, or will we find a way to rise? Sometimes we need to accept that pain is like rain nourishing parched earth, allowing new growth to take root. Returning to yourself is not a straight path, nor is it a magic fix that happens overnight. It's a process, a deep inner journey where you courageously face the darkest parts of your soul, the parts you usually try to avoid. Yet, it is there that you will find the broken pieces of yourself that you thought were lost, and slowly begin to piece together a new, stronger, and more whole version of you. In the upcoming episodes of this podcast, we will dive deeper into the experience of pain, how to feel and confront it, and most importantly, how to move beyond it, not just to survive, but to grow and flourish. I will share real stories and practical methods for healing those invisible wounds so that each of us can find our way back home to ourselves. Pain can make us feel fragile and weak, but it also holds the potential for hidden strength. This is a truth that needs to be embraced, not to darken our view of life, but to illuminate the path toward renewal. So let's begin this journey together. Let's listen, feel, and take those small, steady steps inward toward a place of peace and wholeness. Because one day soon, you will stand tall again, grounded and complete in a way you may never have imagined possible. When life hurts, pain, it's something we all know too well. Sometimes it arrives unexpectedly, like a sudden storm that shakes the very ground beneath our feet. Other times, it creeps slowly, wearing us down day by day, until we barely recognize ourselves anymore. When life hurts, it feels like the world is closing in, trapping us inside our own suffering. Whether it's the loss of someone we love, the end of a dream we held close, or a deep betrayal that cuts to the core, pain has many faces. And no matter how different our stories are, the way pain affects us often shares common threads: confusion, sadness, fear, and a profound sense of loneliness. One of the hardest parts about pain is how isolating it can feel. It's as if a glass wall forms between us and the rest of the world, making it impossible for others to truly see what we're going through. Even surrounded by friends or family, we can feel utterly alone, misunderstood, and silent in our grief. Sometimes, pain doesn't just hurt. It shakes our very identity. It challenges our beliefs about ourselves and life. Questions flood in. Why me? What did I do wrong? Will this ever end? These questions can feel like weights dragging us deeper into despair. But what if, in the midst of this darkness, there is a hidden invitation? An invitation to slow down and look inside, to face the pain instead of running from it, to allow ourselves to feel fully, without judgment or resistance. This is often the first step toward healing. Pain can teach us difficult truths about what we truly value, about the strength we didn't know we had, and about the parts of ourselves that need love and attention. It forces us to confront what we might have ignored or suppressed for years. I want to share a story here, a story about a person who, after a devastating loss, thought their life was over. They felt like a broken vase shattered into countless pieces on the floor. At first, they tried to pick up the shards and glue them back exactly as they were, hoping to restore their old self. But it didn't work. The cracks were too many, the pain too deep. Slowly, with time and patience, they learned to accept the brokenness. They realized that healing wasn't about returning to who they were before, but about becoming someone new, someone who carried their scars with grace and wisdom. That person found new meaning in life, even if it looked very different from before. This story is not unique. Many people who have faced great pain come to see it not just as an end, but as a beginning, the beginning of rediscovering themselves in a way they never thought possible. So if you're listening right now and feeling the weight of pain, know this: it's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel lost and uncertain. You don't have to have all the answers. What matters is that you allow yourself the space to feel and to begin the journey back. Because when life hurts, it's often the first sign that something inside you is ready to change. Something inside you is waking up. The beginning of returning to yourself. When life hurts deeply, it can feel like everything familiar is falling apart. But strangely enough, in that very moment of breaking, the path back to yourself often begins to emerge. Pain has a unique way of stripping away the illusions and distractions that once filled our lives. It forces us to slow down, to stop running from ourselves, and to face what we have long ignored. The voice inside, the quiet longing for peace, for truth, for healing. This stage is often subtle. It may come as a gentle whisper in the chaos of your thoughts, or a quiet feeling in your heart saying, "I want to feel better. I want to be whole again." It might show up as a question, a yearning, or even a restless discomfort that something needs to change. The beginning of returning to yourself is about turning inward, not to run away, but to truly listen. To ask yourself honest questions. Who am I beneath all this pain? What parts of me have I lost touch with? What do I truly need right now? This inward journey can be frightening. It means meeting your fears, your grief, your anger, and sometimes your deepest wounds. But it also means meeting your strength, your courage, and your capacity to heal. You may find that you start noticing small moments of clarity amid the confusion. A memory that brings peace, a feeling of calm in your chest, or a new insight about what truly matters to you. These are signs that your true self is waking up, even if the journey ahead is still uncertain. It's important to be gentle with yourself during this process. Healing is not a race, and there is no right timeline. Some days will feel heavier, others lighter. Allow yourself to feel without judgment. Be patient as you begin to rebuild your connection to yourself. One helpful practice during this time is simply to be present with your feelings, whatever they are. Sit quietly and breathe, noticing what arises without trying to fix or push it away. Sometimes, just acknowledging your pain is the first step to letting it soften. Another way to begin returning to yourself is through writing or journaling. Putting your thoughts and emotions on paper can help you untangle the knots inside and give voice to what is hard to say aloud. It's a private space where you can be honest without fear. You might also find comfort in nature, meditation, or creative expression like painting or music. music. These practices create a bridge back to your inner world, helping you reconnect with your essence beyond the pain. Remember, this is the beginning, the very first step in a longer journey. It's a quiet, courageous act of turning toward yourself when everything else feels uncertain. And it's the foundation for the healing and growth that will come later. You are not defined by your pain. You are much more than your suffering. And as you begin to return to yourself, you will discover a resilience and light that no hardship can extinguish. The healing journey. Healing is not a destination. It's not a point you reach and say, "I'm done." It's a continuous, evolving process, one that flows like a river, sometimes gentle, sometimes wild, but always moving. After the pain has shaken you, after the silence has made you listen, after you've begun turning inward and asking the hard questions, that's when the healing begins. It doesn't happen all at once. In fact, it usually comes in waves. One moment of clarity here, a burst of grief there, a sudden realization followed by quiet emptiness. That's how healing works. It's not linear. It doesn't follow your schedule. It moves in its own mysterious rhythm. 1. The first step, acceptance. The first true step of healing is acceptance. Not agreement, not approval, just acceptance. Acceptance means saying, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it's part of my story now. So often, we resist what has happened to us. We replay it in our minds. We wish we could change it. We blame others. We blame ourselves. But resistance doesn't undo the past. It only deepens the suffering. Acceptance is not giving up. It's giving in to the truth, to the moment, to the reality that's already here. And only when we stop fighting the truth can we begin to change our relationship with it. Acceptance opens the door to grace. 2. The power of forgiveness. The next part of the healing journey is often the hardest, forgiveness. Let's be honest, forgiveness doesn't come easy, especially when the wounds are deep. But here's something we often misunderstand. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of resentment, anger, and pain. You don't forgive someone because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace. That doesn't mean you condone what happened. It doesn't mean you have to forget. But it does mean that you no longer let the wound define your every thought, your every feeling. And sometimes, the most powerful forgiveness is not for others, but for yourself. Forgive yourself for not knowing better. Forgive yourself for breaking down. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you made while you were in pain. You are human. You are learning. You are growing. And you are still worthy of love. 3. The art of letting go. Healing requires space, and to make that space, you have to let go. Let go of the story you told yourself about how things should have been. Let go of the need to control everything. Let go of the expectation that healing will be quick or clean. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you open your hands and your heart to what's real, here now. There's a quiet freedom that comes when you release what no longer serves you. The burden becomes lighter, the breath becomes deeper, and suddenly you begin to feel yourself again. 4. Returning to compassion. As the pain begins to soften, something beautiful starts to rise in its place. Compassion. Compassion for yourself, first and foremost. You begin to see your own struggle with gentler eyes. You stop criticizing your emotions. You stop rushing your process. You learn to hold space for yourself, to sit with your pain as a friend, not an enemy. And from that place, compassion expands outward. You begin to understand others differently. You start to see that everyone carries hidden wounds. Everyone is trying, in their own way, to heal. Pain breaks your heart open, and in that openness, empathy grows. The walls between me and you begin to dissolve. 5. Building a new foundation. Healing is not about going back to who you were before. It's about building someone new, someone wiser, more resilient, more authentic. You begin to make new choices. You set boundaries to protect your peace. You learn to say no when something doesn't feel right. You say yes to rest, yes to joy, yes to softness. You learn to honor your pace. You begin to trust yourself again. And little by little, life becomes livable, even beautiful. Not because everything is perfect, but because you have changed. 6. A gentle reminder. You don't need to be fully healed to live a meaningful life. You don't need to be over it to smile, to love, to feel wonder again. Healing isn't about never hurting again. It's about knowing you can hurt and still keep going. So, wherever you are on this journey, if you're in the depths of your pain, if you're learning to accept, if you're practicing forgiveness, if you're just breathing through today, you are healing. And that in itself is enough. Returning to yourself, a new beginning. So here you are, maybe not fully healed, maybe still a little fragile, but here, still breathing, still walking, still listening. That in itself is something sacred. Because to return to yourself doesn't mean becoming the same person you were before the pain. It means becoming someone deeper, someone softer, someone more real. You've walked through the fire. You've sat with your shadows. You've learned to hold your own hand in the dark. And now you are beginning to see the light, not from outside, but from within. This is the new beginning. It may not look dramatic. There may not be a big moment of revelation. But one day, you'll notice that you no longer carry the same weight, that the anger has softened, that the tears don't come as often, that you're laughing, truly laughing, again. That is what returning to yourself feels like. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. It's waking up and choosing to care for your soul, even in small ways. It's saying no to what drains you, and yes to what nourishes you. It's trusting your gut again, speaking your truth, and showing up as the person you were always meant to be. Beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the wounds. And yes, the pain may return now and then. There will still be hard days, but you'll face them differently now, not from a place of collapse, but from a place of grounding, of knowing who you are. Because once you've truly returned to yourself, you carry an anchor inside you. And even when the waves rise, you don't drift the same way anymore. So let this be your reminder. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. You are not lost. You are on your way home. Every breath is a new chance. Every morning is a soft beginning. Every choice is a step toward wholeness. And as you continue walking forward, slowly, gently, bravely, know that this journey will continue to unfold deeper and richer with time. You are allowed to begin again, and again, and again. Because the most beautiful thing is this: you don't have to chase who you are. You are already it. Welcome home. Thank you for walking this journey with me today. If this episode touched something in you, feel free to come back to it whenever your heart needs a reminder. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. You are doing better than you think. And the road home always begins right where you are.